Hey everybody, it's Norm from Tested here, going hands-on with some new devices and upcoming devices from the gaming world. So recently I was invited over to Sony PlayStation's Bay Area headquarters to try out a variety of devices. First and foremost, the new and upcoming PlayStation Portal handheld device. This is formerly known as Project Q, teased earlier this year, and at first glance looks kind of like a Nintendo Switch or a Valve Steam Deck. It's a large screen handheld device with the equivalent of PlayStation 5's DualSense controllers on either side, plugged in, slapped on either side of here an 8-inch LCD running 1080p resolution at 60 hertz. But unlike Nintendo Switch, unlike the Steam Deck, and even unlike Logitech's own handheld streaming device, this is a device made primarily for PlayStation's remote play feature, which has been around for a while now if you're not familiar with it. So even back with the PS3, I believe, and PS4, and now PS5, you have the ability with a mobile app or even a desktop client to stream games running locally on your PlayStation, running the hardware and the compute and the graphics on your PlayStation over Wi-Fi, and then onto a over 1080p onto your phone, tablet with a attached Bluetooth controller or plugged-in DualSense controller even. And it's a pretty good experience today. People all over the world do it, and not only is it a great way to play games at home when you're on the couch or at your computer, it even works when you're outside of the home. So as long as you're on a Wi-Fi connection that's strong enough, you can actually just run your PS5 remotely. And so the PS Portal, the PlayStation Portal, is a dedicated hardware device to streamline that experience under the PlayStation brand. It's just making it all under as seamless as possible. You don't need to have any other accessories, screens, tablets, or whatever. And it will be priced at $200, which is kind of expensive as a niche device, as something that has this one dedicated purpose, kind of an accessory to your PS5, and that's what I'm bumping up against. But the remote play experience on this, first and foremost, very low latency in the experience I had. Couldn't see any visual artifacting. Of course, this was a controlled demo experience, probably the best case scenario. They told me the connection on the PlayStation Portal is tri-band. They couldn't confirm whether it was Wi-Fi 5 or 6, but definitely not Wi-Fi 6E. But good enough signal. Again, all you need is recommended 15 megabits per second downstream to make that work. They did say that the remote play experience on the Portal would be better than existing remote play experiences due to the dedicated hardware nature, because you don't have any of that input latency when you're connecting from Bluetooth over to your tablet, then over the internet to your dedicated PlayStation. Here, because it's all in one, you press the power button, you can actually wake up your PlayStation 5 from sleep mode, and you're going right in and mirroring essentially that PS5, the big TV experience now onto this 8-inch display. And the screen looked good. It's a 1080p screen running at 60 hertz with a max 500 nits of brightness. And from my experience in this best case scenario, didn't notice any artifacts of compression coming over that stream. So very low latency in the demos I played. I did Astro's Playroom, it's a little bit of God of War, some Returnal, and it was like the best case remote play experience I have seen so far. Weight distribution wise, it didn't feel heavy. It is a pretty wide device. Reminded me of how big the size of the Steam Deck. Did not feel as heavy as a Steam Deck. And because it is wide, because it's using that 8-inch screen, it did feel like the battery was evenly distributed. It didn't, of course, say how big that battery was physically, and it couldn't even confirm the battery life, though they were saying that battery runtime would be comparable to that of the DualSense controller. So north of 5 hours of playtime, and not the DualSense, the Edge controllers, which did not have that great battery life. And speaking of the controllers, you have all the adaptive trigger and haptic feedback elements that you would have in the DualSense controller. There's, of course, no touchpad on it, so you use the touchscreen instead of that 8-inch screen. There's an overlay on the left and right side where you put your thumbs for that feature. And while it does have button parity, the thumbsticks are not the exact same thumbstick thumbsticks as on the DualSense. They're the thumbsticks that's on the PSVR 2 controller. So a little bit smaller and definitely not as nice as the one on the Edge controller for sure. There's microphones built into there. There's actually a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, some speakers at the top. But what's probably most important is what it doesn't have, because it doesn't have Bluetooth on the PlayStation Portal, which means that you can't actually use it as a DualSense controller if you were sitting in front of your big TV and your PS5. You could theoretically still use Remote Play and use it as your controller, and then someone else would have, it'd be player 2, but then because you'd be running Remote Play, it wouldn't be, I don't think it's the optimal experience, plus you're then limiting yourself to 1080p on your TV if you have a 4K TV. And perhaps the most limiting thing about the PlayStation Portal is it does not have access to the PS Plus Premium's cloud streaming service. So if you pay for PS Plus, which is PlayStation's monthly or annual subscription service, it gets you access to a library of games that you can download to your PS5. At the highest tier, there's also cloud streaming, which you can only do right now locally on your PS5. Even with Remote Play, you cannot stream from the cloud to your PS5 and then back up over internet to a mobile device. And the PS Portal won't be able to tap into that cloud streaming either, which seems like kind of a funky decision. I think it's probably the wrong decision at this point. And maybe, who knows, that's something that they could unlock in the future, but that's not the scope of what they wanted to release right now, which may speak to maybe the lack of confidence they have in PS Plus Premium's cloud streaming availability, or the amount of games, or the fact that they just want people to still be buying PS5s. They don't want to leave that hardware business entirely. This is not going to replace that experience. Also, with the lack of Bluetooth means you're not going to be using Bluetooth headphones, and that leads to the other devices that I got to try on, which were 2 audio devices. There were the previously teased earbuds. These are wireless earbuds, now called the Pulse Explorers, as well as a new pair of over-the-head headphones in their successor to the Pulse 3D headphones, this one called the Pulse Elite. Pulse Explorer, Pulse Elite. Yeah, a little bit confusing. A lot of these common terms shared in the gaming space. But what's unique about these 2 audio devices is that they are both planar magnetic headphones. They use planar magnetic drivers, which are a different type of audio technology, larger form factor. And in the audiophile world, I have planar magnetic headphones I absolutely adore and love. And they're just really great sounding for music, really crisp on the high ends. If you plug this into an amp, you see some really high quality audio experiences. But traditionally, the entry point for planar magnetic headphones is north of $200, $300, honestly, for like a pair of hi-fi mans that you then also have to plug into an amp. Here, the Pulse Explorers are planar magnetic, and they run off of internal battery that then you can also charge with the caddy, the case that it comes in. And the Pulse Elites, the over-the-head headphones, over-the-ear headphones, those are also planar magnetic with built-in power as well. And I got to try that, play some Returnal, and the demo sequence they had set up really accentuated the crispness of raindrops falling onto the ship as you're exploring the planet. One caveat with planar magnetic headphones that I've used in the past is the low end does sometimes seem to be lacking. You don't get the thumpiness of the bass as you would, even with Sony's own XM line of headphones. There's also no active audio cancellation, noise cancellation. It's just noise isolation, but I did feel like the noise isolation on the Elites were pretty good, to the point that I couldn't hear people in the room as we were filming and I was testing them. And what's also interesting is that these devices connect to the PS Portal and theoretically to your PS5 over a new wireless protocol that they're releasing called PS Link, PlayStation Link. This is a 2.4 gigahertz connection that requires, as of right now, for the PS5, a dedicated hardware dongle that will be bundled with the headphones. PS Portal will have it built in, presumably all PlayStation devices devices going forward, as well as some third-party partners that will also use PS Link, but the PS5, you need to plug in this USB-A dongle. But it's supposed to be a more reliable and stronger and more versatile connection than Bluetooth. It's also their proprietary connection, but with a dongle, and they will sell those a la carte as well. You could also plug that into your gaming PC, and you could switch your Pulse Explorers between your PS5 and then your Portal, and also then walking over to your PC, press that button, hold it down, and instantly reconnect, link back up to that device. The one that got me the most excited was the over-the-ear headphones, the Pulse Elites, because not only were they planar magnetic headphones with an entry price point of $150, which is pretty good, but that one does have Bluetooth built in and also a 3.5 millimeter input jack. And one of the demos we did, it had it plugged into a PC, and it was using the PS Link to get the audio from the gaming PC, while the headphones itself was also Bluetooth connected as an audio device for a smartphone. And when I received a phone call or a FaceTime call on that phone, it seamlessly actually combined the audio feeds, so I could have a phone call and then also turn down the audio with you wouldn't have to switch between one or the other. It would actually mix that together, which is a really neat feature. There's also a microphone built in to the headphones as well. You pull them out on the Pulse Elites, and while there's no active noise cancellation on the output side, on the input side, there is some AI processing to reduce the sounds, external sounds, or the sounds of you eating a bag of chips was the demo they showed. And that actually worked pretty well. The 3.5 millimeter jack on the Pulse Explorers does do audio pass-through, but it does require that the headphones have power. So unlike some headphones where if your battery runs out, you can still get access to the drivers by plugging into a 3.5 millimeter jack. Here, you do need those Pulse Elites to have power in them. And it will come with a hook that you can plug into USB to charge the headphones, as well as a dedicated USB-C port. And what's nice about that hook is that you can mount it to under your desk or your wall or wherever you have. And Sony did confirm that they will be releasing the CAD files for the receiving side of that hook, so you can design and 3D print your own mounts to use your Pulse Elites anywhere. So I'm looking forward to trying that out, not only for gaming, but maybe even a new pair of desktop gaming headphones and video editing headphones as well. So the recap, tried out the PS Portal 2 headphones, and that PlayStation Portal, when it comes out later this year. I'm really curious what the consumer experience is going to be like. I can imagine someone going to a Best Buy this holiday season and seeing what looks like a Steam Deck or a Nintendo Switch with the PlayStation logo for $200, and not realizing that on the fine print is that you need a PS5 to use this device. There's nothing that will let you play games on it locally or tap into any other types of services. You need a PlayStation 5 to use it. And so that could be confusing to a lot of consumers, and who knows, what users may be able to do with it. Maybe they'll be able to jailbreak it and sideload other applications, or PlayStation may in the future allow it to tap into PS Plus Premium's cloud streaming. I'm not sure. Right now, the scope, though, of this device for $200 is just PlayStation Remote Play. So, in a world where there was a proper successor to the PSP and PS Vita that did do local playing of games, the PS Portal would live comfortably in that family of devices. But where in the current PS5 generation, this is their only handheld device, that feels a little weird. It's pretty niche for them to come out with that. So we'll see when that comes out again later this year, along with the Pulse Explore earbuds. No release date yet for the Pulse Elites. But if you have thoughts, comments, please share them in the comment section below. I'm Norm from Tested, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.